Hey, today I want to talk to you in the next few minutes about how using an online calendar for booking appointments and consultations could save you as much as 25 hours a month. And I'm going to actually show you some real world numbers and data and statistics to back that up. So we talk to a lot of doctors every month, and it's still very common out there. The way most medical marketing and sales programs work is that you'll work with an agency like us. We'll send you a bunch of leads, and someone on your staff will then begin calling and emailing those leads to get them booked into consultations. And that's really still how many people do it. Well, about a year ago, the website doctor.com did some research into how healthcare buyers actually go through that buying and decision-making process and begin selecting which doctor or medical provider they want to use for a variety of types of services. And one of the really interesting pieces of data that came out of that is what I've got here on the screen, which is 45% of patients they discovered prefer to make appointments online through some form of online scheduling. And so this was a real eye-opener for us when we first saw it. And so we began implementing that in our client campaigns. And I can tell you it has made an incredible world of difference. And I'm going to kind of give you some real-world examples of that. So when we first began implementing it across different client accounts, what we discovered was that the worst case situation, like the least amount of online schedules that we got, was a 36% rate. So that's 1 out of every 3 of those leads were self-booking into consultations. But if you throw that worst number out, then the range was between 46% and 75% of all leads were self-booking their own consultations with the doctor using this online calendar. And that's a huge thing. That's half to 2/3, let's say, of all of the leads that you've got coming in the door. If they're self-booking appointments, let's talk about the numbers behind that for a moment and what that can actually save. So there was another piece of research. Let me just bring this in real quick. HubSpot is a brand that many of you may know, many of you may not. It's a big kind of marketing, research, and data company, certainly a very well-respected expert and authority in these things. Did a study back, I think this was 2019. Yes, this is a 2019 study. And they found that it now takes an average of 18 phone calls to actually connect with a buyer and move them forward in that sales process. And so there's a whole lesson to be learned right there in that one statistic, but we'll get into that in some of our other videos. But for today's point, let's just assume for a moment it only takes 10 touches if a person doesn't go ahead and book that consultation with you, because that's a nice, easy, round number that we can work with. So 10 touches, let's say 50% of your leads. So we'll send an average client about 100 leads a month. And so let's say 50 of those don't book a call. And now you have to make 10 touches, not 18, but just 10 touches to move them forward. That's 50 people times 10 touches per person. That's 500 touches you've got to do in the course of that month with all of those leads to move them forward and try to get them booked into a consultation. Well, if it takes an average of about 3 minutes per touch, which is, I think, pretty conservative, considering that if you're doing this the right way, you'll be making notes and follow-ups and setting maybe the follow-up date. So you've not only got to make the phone call and leave a voicemail message, but then you need to make a note in that person's contact record so that you can keep track. When you've got 100 leads a month coming through the door, you have to have a very good system to keep track of all those leads. That's also something else we cover in this whole Foundations video series. So let's say 3 minutes, 500 touches, it's 1,500 minutes of time that person is going to have to invest in trying to get in touch with those leads. That's 25 hours. That's 25 hours a month, a little over 6 hours a week that person could be saving simply by implementing an online scheduling system that allows those leads to book their own consultations. I'm not sure also if you happen to notice any of the statistics right above it, but if you look at number 7 at the top of the page here, you'll see that only 19% of your buyers want to connect with a salesperson during the beginning awareness stage, which means they're just at the beginning of this process when they're first learning about what it is you have to offer. So that's something that also matters, because you've got people who are interested in learning more about whatever medical service or product that you have to offer them. they need to come into a consultation in order to learn more about that, for the doctor to have a chance to find out what's going on, what's the history, is this a good fit for you? So 25 hours a month saved by just using an online scheduling system is a huge amount of time you can add back to that person now to chase down the other 50 leads that don't self-book into appointments. So I wanted to share that with you today because it's a real eye-opener when you begin to actually look at the numbers. And now the data clearly shows, the research, that this is the way it's going in the medical community. This is what your prospective patients want, is that ability to just go ahead and book the online consultation right there on your website, or maybe we do it on our landing pages after someone signs up to say, yes, I'm interested in this product or service. The next page that they see will be that calendar where they can go ahead right there and book their appointment. So if you're not already doing this, I hope that this will be a little bit of an eye-opener for you. I can tell you it's made a huge world of difference in all of the client campaigns that we run across the board. So there's almost no service out there for which this couldn't be a good solution to get a very high number of, or a high percentage of your leads into consultations. So I hope you'll give that some thought. We'll see you on the next video. Thanks.